Hey everyone, this is going to be a little bit of a different video than what I normally put on here, which is predominantly real estate. But I'm interested in a lot of different topics. And something that I really enjoyed in my past work, working with solar, was really debugging what your utility bill looked like and how utilities operate. Why are the price per kilowatt hour prices that you have? Why are they like that? Why do you have different options when it comes to demand? And what are ways that you can kind of game the system to maximize your savings but still have a great quality of life using electricity? And that was something that I really enjoyed doing in the solar industry. The challenge that solar always had for me personally is that I I don't like I don't like debt. And the way that the vast majority of this economy works and the way the vast majority of people accessed solar in the past was to take out loans on it. Now, there are pros and cons to that, but when you're doing something and advocating for people to do something that you don't personally really feel good about, then that can be a real challenge. And I never really liked the idea of people buying solar with a loan. Um, Most people did, and that's fine. And the people that were super, super successful at solar sold loans really, really well. It just wasn't something that I was comfortable with. Really, the only kind of debt that I'm comfortable with is mortgages, and that's why I work in real estate now, because the idea of having a loan on an asset with that has land and homes and appreciates in value, it sits much better with me. Now, that doesn't mean you can't get in trouble with real estate and being leveraged, but for the vast majority of single family homes, it's a really safe investment and it's a really great thing that I really like to do and feel much better about than I ever did with solar. But I'm a numbers guy. I really like diving into the numbers, and the new SRP plans I have some concerns about. So I'm going to talk to you about that here and share a few graphs to try to explain a few features of that. So the way that solar works is that the sun comes up, you generate electricity, the sun goes down, now you no longer generate electricity. And the the most aggressive plan that SRP currently has is the E27, which is a demand plan that has one-to-one net metering. So this graph shows a typical solar production during a day. So 8 o'clock, it starts generating. We peak a little afternoon, and then by 5, 6 o'clock, we trail off and we don't really generate any electricity. Now, focusing on the peak summer months, because that's when your biggest savings typically are with a solar system, because that's when your highest energy bills are, the current times to be aware of are 2 to 8 p.m. And for those of you on the time of use and those of you that are on the demand plan, 2 to 8 p.m., that's when electricity becomes very expensive. With the demand plan, you have the addition of a demand charge, which is how much electricity are you demanding on average every 30 minutes. And then you get what's called a demand charge at the end of the billing month. I'm not going to get into details on that, but the fact is that you are able to generate real electricity for a lot of that 2 to 8 time period. So this is noon, this is 2 o'clock. So you can see from 2 till 5 o'clock, going over to 6 o'clock, you're generating electricity. So you're able to run your ACs longer and do more with your home and have a comfortable living because you're using that electricity and you're using less from the grid to keep your demand low. Now, there's a device called a demand manager, which would automatically control your AC units to make sure you don't go over and incur a higher charge on your bill than you otherwise would. And I like to say it's like a carrot and the stick. So the carrot is if you're able to keep your demand low and smooth and level and not have huge demand spikes, you're going to save a lot of money. I'm going to go over my bill here in a second. You'll be able to see exactly how much money you're able to save. On the flip side, if you don't really adhere to that and you do have really high demand spikes, then you're going to have a really high bill and your savings are going to be either much less or even worse than if you just didn't do it at all. So it's a carrot and the stick approach, and I think it works really well. And I think the timeframes that they use currently are really friendly to that because you're able to generate electricity and use it and keep your home cool using the electricity you're producing. The new plans shift this time usage out of the 2 to 8 p.m. to 5 to 10 p.m. So looking at this graph, here's 5 o'clock. This is right when energy production really drops off from your solar system all the way to 10. So the only way that you're able to keep your demand low is not with solar, but you have to use some kind of battery storage to use energy other than the grid to minimize your demand, or just really cut back on how much energy your home uses. And this is one of the biggest changes to the plan. The other really big change is that they're getting rid of one-to-one net metering, which means that all of this electricity that you're producing during the day, if you're not actively using it, SRP is buying it back from you pennies on the dollar. They're only going to give you around 3 cents a kilowatt for the electricity that you're producing during the day, whereas currently you're getting one-to-one. So right now, all of this electricity that you're generating, let's say you're gone, the ACs aren't running, and you're just generate. Well, guess what? You're getting a credit. SRP is paying you one-to-one for that electricity, and then when it gets to be nighttime, now you're able to cash in on all that electricity you generated without having to use a battery. Now you're going to need to have a battery in order to take advantage of these new plans. Unfortunately, it gets worse, and well, at least worse for people that have solar and are thinking about getting solar. Now, here's the current customer generation plan. So this is the E27. So you see during the day, it's your electricity is 6 cents a kilowatt midday. And so but it's also 6 cents a kilowatt at night. So that one-to-one net metering is in effect. All the electricity you're generating during the day, you're able to use at night. In the summer, basically the same. We're down to 5 cents a kilowatt during the day, but you're getting 5 cents a kilowatt back when you use it at night. And in the summer peak, similar story. Now, if you see all these prices and you're like, holy cow, that's really low. Well, yeah, it's really low, but you have a demand charge that goes on top of that. Now, the new plans have what's called a super off peak. Now, you see there is no super off peak on this plan, but where the super off peak is going to be is right here at 8 a.m. till 3 p.m. And it's going to be 3 to 4 cents a kilowatt. 4 to 6 cents a kilowatt, depending. So in the wintertime, it's 4 cents a kilowatt right here, and they're no longer doing net metering. So if you're not using electricity and you're generating with your solar, you're only getting 3 cents a kilowatt back. But if you don't have solar and you're on this plan, you're only paying 4 cents a kilowatt for your electricity anyways. Super, super cheap. And that's what makes solar not worth it, because SRP is giving everyone access to 4 cent a kilowatt electricity for most of the year. In the summertime and the summer peak, it's 6 cents a kilowatt. So summer peak, it's about the same as their very best solar plan. They're giving it to everyone if they get on this demand plan or a time of use plan. That nullifies the idea of solar. There's just no reason to do solar, because solar is built on the premise that the utilities charge more for electricity. SRP is still, as they've said, everyone's bill is going to go up with these new plans. But the issue is the timing of when they're going to be getting their money from you. They're getting their money through increasing your connection charge to $30. If you don't have solar, it's $20. It's going to be $30. If you do have solar, it's going to be $30, down from $30 to $44. But then their time of use is shifting from the 2 to 8 p.m. time that you see here. It's going to be 6 to 9 for the time of use, and it's going to be 5 to 10 p.m. for the demand. So let me give you a real world example of what these numbers are going to look like with the new plans. This is my bill for August. I'm on the E27 demand plan, and my demand I was able to keep to around 4, which is really good for the size of house that we have. But I have a small 4 kilowatt system that is facing west, so I get good energy production all the way till the end of the day. I have a demand manager that makes sure that it will turn off my AC units. I have 2 of them, a big one and a small one. It'll turn them off to make sure that I don't go over 4 kilowatts. And then I have electric cars that I charge at night. At this time, I only had 1 electric car, but I only start charging it at night after the on peak and after the demand time. So those contributed to how high my energy, how much energy usage I had. Which 3,200, it's quite a lot. The reason that you don't see the energy up to 3,200 is because 3,200 was the amount of energy my home used and consumed, regardless of the solar. So once you take into the solar, you subtract it out, and that's why my energy is less. And that's why net metering is so amazing, because they're able to subtract that energy out because of net metering. That's all going away with the new plan. They would calculate when you're producing a surplus of electricity, they'd be giving you 3 cents a kilowatt back. Totally different. The solar just basically becomes irrelevant. It's all about your demand and when you use your electricity. So my demand charge was $47.55. The off-peak energy was $126. On-peak was $15.58. Blah, blah, blah. That's what all went into this bill. Let me tell you some numbers on what this bill would be like if it was on the new plan. So I've got a bunch of numbers here, and I ran the numbers, and I'll just read them off to you because honestly, I don't know how you make numbers look good on the screen. So you might as well look at my ugly mug. So I had 3,200 kilowatts of usage in August with a small 4 kilowatt solar system and demand management. My bill was $242. If I had no solar and I was just on the standard plan, my bill, including connection charge, would have been $477.31. With the new standard plan, so only people with no solar can be on the standard plan, my bill for the same amount of energy would have been $478. With the new demand plan, E16, regardless of the solar, I'm just literally taking 3,200 kilowatt hours. But if I paired it with a battery system that was adequately sized, and what I mean by adequately sized is it's able to charge and discharge at a rate that is able to run my home. So for 2 AC units, I've got 4 kids. I would need to have a probably multiple battery packs, 2 to 4 battery packs, in order to have enough discharge capability to both run the AC units and everything else in the house. Of course, I'm not charging my cars off the batteries, but I am going to be running the house basically off grid with the batteries between the hours of 5 to 10 p.m. on the new E16 plan. Let's assume that I'm 100% effective with that, meaning I am able to charge the batteries between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. And then I'm able to fully use only the batteries between the hours of 5 p.m. and 10 p.m. on weekdays. That would mean I would have a demand charge of 0, and I would also have 0 on peak energy usage. So all of my energy costs with SRP would be either the super off peak, which in summer peak is going to be 6 cents a kilowatt, and off peak, which is the 10 p.m. till 8 a.m., and then that short gap, I guess, between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m., it's 10 cents a kilowatt. All of my electricity I'd be purchasing during those times, and I'd be running my house off the batteries for the 5 hours of 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. My bill would be somewhere between a low of 220. That would be the absolute lowest. So if I was able to do 100% of my energy charging between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. and then use batteries 100% of the rest of the time, then I'd be at $220 for 3,200 kilowatt hours. But realistically, since I need to charge the cars at night so that I can drive them the next day, I would be closer to the higher end, which is $350. So that would still be charging the batteries between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. for that super off-peak time, but I would still need to rely on the grid a lot outside of that 5 to 10 p.m. time to charge the cars. And so I would estimate I would be around $300 if I had just a correctly sized battery pack for my home. So in conclusion, where do we go from here? Solar's dead in SRP. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. The only reason that you would ever get solar is because you want to have a backup to produce electricity if and when the grid goes down and there are blackouts or extended periods of power outages. And in order for you to do that, you need to have batteries anyways. If you currently have solar, stay on your solar plan for the next 4 years until November of 2029. Do reach out to SRP. Try to persuade them, petition them to allow the existing solar plans to extend longer so that you can get that full ROI. Otherwise, in the coming years, you're going to be looking at adding batteries. If adding batteries is something that you're interested in and you've gotten quotes for it, I'd love to see it. I'd love to run the numbers and see what the pricing is on that. I do have a lot of connections in the solar industry, and I could easily sell batteries. I don't have any plans to do that, but I mean, if people are like want honest prices on what that looks like, let me know. I'd be happy to look into it. But otherwise, yeah, the solar and SRP is going away. Stay on the solar plan that you currently have. And if you are not liking what your energy bills are and you're going to want to do something about them, then start saving to add batteries to your home. That's the way that SRP is going to go. And if SRP goes that way, I'm sure APS is not far away. Maybe they already are. I don't know. I'm an SRP customer, and that's what I'm familiar with. So this is a little bit different than my normal stuff. If you look through my videos, you'll see some like going through new builds and stuff. There's a ton of new builds around here. It's fun to go through and kind of see what the new houses look like, and then some other random stuff. But I just like to do what I do. So thanks for watching. Hope this is helpful, and hopefully after I stitch all this together, it's not too long. Thanks. Bye.